Hi, I'm Sarah Doe, and today I'm going to be performing a sports physical, musculoskeletal, and peripheral vascular assessment. Can you please state your name and your age, and if you agree to be recorded for this?
Lourdes Doe, 18, and I agree.
Thank you. So I've already washed my hands, I've got my sanitizer, and I've got my gloves on. So the first thing that we're going to do is to assess your cervical spine and range of motion and strength. So can you please bring your chin to your chest and then return it back to the original position? Okay, I'm going to place my hand on your forehead. If you can please push against it. I'm going to place my hand in the back of your head. Please resist. Thank you. Now I'd like you to look up toward the ceiling, please, and then return your head back to the original position. Okay, and if you can please bring your ear toward your shoulder on both sides and return back to the original position. Now I'm going to put my hand here and do the same thing and resist. And on the other side. Okay. Now, if you can please turn your head to the left and to the right, and then I'm going to put my hand and you can do the same thing. Okay. Your range of motion is intact and your strength is 5 out of 5 bilaterally. So the next thing I'm going to assess is your AC joint. So I'm going to put my hands on your shoulders. If you could shrug your shoulders a couple of times, please. Okay. Your strength is 5 out of 5 bilaterally. So I am assessing arm muscle group strength next with opposing force. So if you can please raise your arms forward like this. Okay, and resist my pressure. Okay, and then same thing from this end. Okay. If you can please raise your arms out to the side like this. Okay, and then resist my pressure, please. Okay, good job. Your strength is 5 out of 5 bilaterally. So, if you can stand up, please. With your arms at your sides, please move them up over your head, and then bring them back like this. Okay, like that, and then back at your sides. Okay, now if you can put your hands behind your back like this and then move them up your spine as high as possible. Okay, and if you can raise your arms out to your sides like this, bring them all the way up over your head, and then I'd like you to put your hands behind your head like this and then rotate your elbows backwards like that. Okay, range of motion is intact bilaterally. So I'm going to assess your elbow range of motion and strength. If you can please bend your elbows like this, okay? And then turn your palms up and down like this, like rotate them. Okay, I'm going to assess your, if you can bend and straighten your elbows like that. Okay. I'm going to assess your elbow strength, okay? So go ahead and bend your elbows, and then I would like you to resist my press, okay? My press and my pull. Okay, range of motion is intact and strength is 5 out of 5 bilaterally. I'm going to assess your wrist range of motion and strength. If you can please bend your hand up at the wrist like this, okay? And then bring your hand down, so kind of just like back and forth like that. And then with your palms flat like this, kind of go like back and forth like that. Okay. Now, I'm going to, let's hold your arm out straight like this. Okay. We're going to use my arm kind of as a little table. I'd like you to pull against my strength. Okay. Now push against my strength. Okay. Good job. Range of motion is intact and strength is 5 out of 5 bilaterally. I'm going to next assess the range of motion and strength for your hand and fingers. So I want you to hold your hands kind of like that, and then bend your fingers up and down like at the knuckles. And then the next thing is spread your fingers apart and then make a fist. Okay, so this next one, I'd like you to touch your fingertip of each finger to your thumb. So first start with the finger and the thumb, okay? And then to the base of the little finger, okay? You do that for all 4 of your fingers with your 2 thumbs. Okay, if you can squeeze my fingers tightly, please. And I'm gonna try to pull them out. Okay, good job. Range of motion is intact and strength is 5 out of 5 bilaterally. So go ahead and lie down. I'm gonna assess range of motion for your hip. Go ahead and lift your legs one at a time. Lift your leg up, sorry. Okay, good job. Other side, please. Okay, and if you can bring your knee one at a time up towards your chest and keep the other leg straight. Okay, I am going to check your hip rotation. We've got hip abduction and hip adduction. And what you do to one side, you do to the other. Okay, good job with that. Okay, can you do me a favor and I'm gonna hold your hip and then on this side, and I'd like you to swing this leg out as far as you can.
This one?
Yeah, sorry, it's odd with the couch. Okay, and then let's do the other side. So if you can scoot kind of a little closer. Okay, I'm gonna hold this hip down and then you swing that leg out. Okay, good job. Okay, so now if you can, let's see. Okay, range of motion for her hips are it's intact. So I'm gonna have you go ahead and sit up, and I'm gonna assess your hip strength. So please push against me. Okay, other side. Okay, good job. And let's lift it up a little bit. Okay, press down. Okay, and down. Okay. Your strength for your hips is 5 out of 5 bilaterally. So can you bend your knee and then straighten each knee on both sides, please? Okay. And then if you can please stand up and walk for me. Okay. And then I'm going to have you sit in this chair again. Okay, don't go ahead and dangle your legs, and go ahead and fight my resistance. Pull them back, and then push your legs toward me. Okay, good job. It's hot in here. Okay, can you stand up without using your hands for support? Okay, go ahead and sit back down. Range of motion is intact, and strength is 5 out of 5 bilaterally. So the next thing I'm going to do is assess your ankle range of motion and strength. So can you please point your toes to the floor like this? Okay, and then I'm going to push up and you push my hands back down. Okay, good job. Can you point your toes toward your nose? Okay, and fight my resist my press. Okay, good job. Okay, the next thing can be a little bit difficult. If you can come out and then try to walk like a duck, like 4 steps. Okay, good job. You can come back up here. Okay, and then if I can see your ankles one more time, if you can kind of press them, kind of make them go, I'm gonna hold your ankle and I'm gonna move them outward and inward. Okay. Your range of motion is 5 out of 5, and so is the strength. Okay. So the next thing I need to assess your spine range of motion. So if you can please stand up. If you can, please bend over and touch your toes as best as you can. Okay. And then if you can bend sideways. Yeah, like that. On the other side too, please. And then try to bend backwards. Okay, and then see if you can twist your shoulders from side to side.
Like that?
Uh-huh. And then can you walk on your toes for a few steps? And then can you turn the other way and walk on your heels? Okay, your spinal range of motion is intact, your gait is steady, and lower extremity strength is intact. So next thing, I'm going to assess you for scoliosis. So I'm going to stand behind you, and if you could please bend forward, and I'm going to look at your spine. Okay, the Adam test is negative for scoliosis, and go ahead and stand upright. And I'm going to look at your shoulders, so if you can turn around, I'm going to check to see if your shoulders are symmetrical. And they are. So your shoulders are symmetrical. Okay, go ahead and sit back down. Next thing I'm going to do is to assess your peripheral pulses. So if you can hold your arms out for me, I'm going to check your brachial pulses first. Next thing I'm going to assess are your radial pulses. And then next thing I'm going to check your popliteal pulses in behind your knee. Okay, the next thing I am going to palpate your posterior tibial down here by your ankles, and then your pedal pulse on the tops of your feet. Okay, her pulses are all 2+ and regular. And the next thing I'm going to do, if you can hold your arms out for me, I'm assessing her limbs for perfusion. I'm looking for color, any edema, warmth, and capillary refill. Let me see your other one. Okay. Okay. And then I'm going to also look at her legs here. Same thing. We're looking at color, cap refill on both sides, and cap refill on her fingers and fingernails and toenails is less than 2 seconds, and her limbs are pink and her skin is warm. So I think that's it. Thank you so much for participating in this video assessment, and this is the end of the assessment. Thank you.